This is the Like Us podcast. I'm your host, Erin, through these bonus episode play-by-plays of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We are keeping track of which Real Housewife of Beverly Hills is the most relatable, but we're also keeping it fun with a scorecard that we update at the end of each episode. When we get to the reunion, we will find out which is the most relatable housewife on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I must say, this episode, episode 14 of season 15, I scoured through. I watched the episode 3 times and I was looking for the relatable moments. I had my Nancy Drew magnifying glass. I was Inspector Gadget. I was looking and looking. I was trying to find the beats of empathy. And oof, it was slim pickings in Florence, Italy, y'all. This episode, the ladies, they were not, every episode, it's not going to be a hit. Every episode's not. It's not going to make us laugh. It's not going to make us say, oh my gosh, me too. And this was one of those episodes. Honestly, it was a little uncomfortable. I felt like this latest episode made me feel deeply unsettled and uncomfy, emotionally unsafe, as Amanda Francis would say, for like a lot of reasons that I'm going to try to get into and articulate in the play-by-play. But ultimately, I feel like we are in the bottom act of Act 2. We are in the dark night of the soul. Everything is falling apart. And the thing is, this season, there was never really a moment where it felt like everyone was all together anyway. It has really been pretty disjointed. And I'll also get into that, into the play-by-play as to why I think that's been happening in Beverly Hills. But before we get too deep into the play-by-play, let's tap into this week's Hot Mic Confessional. So for this week's Hot Mic Confessional, let's talk about the scope of reality TV. Now, if you are someone like me who loves pop culture and keeping up with everyone online, you have seen so many people talk about all of the drama with The Bachelorette, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Taylor Frankie Paul, what's happening with her baby daddies, and all of the drama. And I will say... I've never felt better about not watching either one of those shows because yikes, what is going on? When I first gave Secret Lives of Mormon Wives a try, I deeply remember because I have genuinely watched the first episode of that show like 2 or 3 times trying to get into it. And the show literally starts with this woman who has pled guilty for these charges and how embarrassed she is. That's what this show has started with. And over the course of this show being wildly popular, more and more people started watching it, and everyone kind of just, I think, fell in love with how unhinged and crazy she was, which, we all love an unhinged reality star. Who amongst us? Now, what's shocking is the decision to continue to platform someone who has this kind of dark past. But that being said, viewers want what they want. And Tyra Banks definitely spoke about this in the America's Next Top Model documentary, which is like, sometimes the viewer demand really falls into this gray area of like, do you continue showing these things or not? Now, the reality TV of it all. I saw someone on Threads say something like, oh my gosh, we need to just cancel reality TV. And we're not going to do that. I think everyone needs to get a grip. We're not going to cancel reality TV. I just think that what should happen is maybe have deeper psychological evaluations on reality TV show contestants. I think abuse is terrible and should never happen. And that video was spooky, but I don't think we're going to cancel reality television off of these bases. And so I think that people need to get for real when they talk about that. Let's get into the episode. Okay, so the episode starts and the ladies are shopping in Florence, and Rachel's like, you know what? My life is chaotic right now because she's been dealing with her ex and her kids, and she's like, shopping is going to make everything better. Amanda gets in a car with the Richards sisters. And a few weeks ago, I had a post where I was talking about who Lisa Rinna is talking about in the book. And I said she mentions all of the Richards sisters. And people in my comments were like, they're not the Richards sisters. Kathy's not a Richards. And it's like Kathy Hilton herself referred to herself as a Richards sister when they got into the car. I rest my case. Kathy also has a million bajillion Labubus on her bag. And this woman is so campy and silly. And I feel like to be as aloof as Kathy Hilton means that you've made it in life. Because, what does she really care about? Not much. Not much. Erika and Bose are matching in leopard outfits, and they're riding in the car with Jennifer Tilly. And Sutton is in a car with Rachel, Zoe, and Natalie. And Sutton mentions that Amanda was writing her book that morning on her pillow, and that she didn't mention it to her. And I'm like, ew? I'm sorry. I'm too much of a germaphobe for that. The fact that Sutton didn't bring it up immediately, I'm like, what is going on here? If I was sharing a room with someone, and I have shared a lot of rooms with people because I played college softball, so we had new roommates every single week, okay? And then I've had roommates all through college, like I've lived with people. There is never a case for taking your roommate's pillow off of their bed and using it for your laptop holder. That is disgusting. Your laptop is dirty. You're putting it everywhere. And then you're going to put it on the pillow where I'm going to lay my head at night. I don't understand how they weren't beefing at that. If this were quite literally any other, you know what? I'm not going to say any other franchise, but if this were Real Housewives of Potomac, Real Housewives of Atlanta, someone would have said something immediately. And Sutton should not have been letting the laptop on the pillow slide. We're beefing immediately at that. Anyways, there's a lot of talking about Amanda in the cars, and they go to see the Florence David. Erika brings up this idea of cum gutters, which I've never heard of before. I've heard of like the muscles, like the muscles that are like your hip flexor muscles that look good. D'Angelo comes to mind, and particularly in the How Does It Feel music video where you see his full torso abs, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, everyone has a conversation about penises and cum gutters for at least 3 to 5 business minutes. And then Kathy Hilton goes on and on about like David's feet and his hands, and like it's quirky, it's fun, it's cutesy. We all get it. You know what I mean? Everyone loves a strong man. Whatever. The joke, the gag is that all the ladies are thirsty for men, which I think is kind of a tired trope and joke, but I'm not their age. So maybe when I get their age and I've pushed out a few kids and I'm in my 50s or 60s and I want to make a joke about a man, maybe I will. I don't know. It doesn't resonate with me. I don't get it. It's kind of like when people have bachelorette parties and they have penises everywhere. It's like, why? Like, no judgment. I'm not a prude in the slightest, like truly. But like, why? That I don't quite get. Okay. They go to this bridge to go take photos, and across from the bridge, there is a little vendor who's selling a bunch of like different masks and trinkets. And one of the masks is a Pinocchio mask. And Natalie, who showed up for this trip, mentions like, oh, there's a Pinocchio mask. Who's going to wear that? And Bose throws shade and she says, oh, Amanda. And this is not the type of shade that would have happened on like an Atlanta Housewives, a Potomac Housewives, where there's more like women of color. It wouldn't have happened. Maybe it would have happened on Miami, which got canceled. Oh my gosh. That should have been the hot Mic Confessional. Don't even get me started. Real Housewives of Miami was literally one of the best housewives on Bravo. And I cannot believe they canceled that show after like moving it back and forth from Peacock to Bravo, never giving it a proper airtime run, always making it be in the summertime. Like it was doomed from the start. And I just feel like we need to bring that show back. We need to bring it back immediately, expeditiously. Anyway, so Bose says that the Pinocchio mask should go to Amanda, and she says it flippantly, offhandedly. She doesn't even remember that she says it because that's how much it didn't matter. And then Amanda's like, oh my God, I'm standing right here. I can't believe she said that. And in that moment, again, with Beverly Hills sweeping things under the rug and not dealing with stuff head on. And I don't know who is at fault here for that, but there's someone at fault for the girls not being quick on it. And I think it's because there's not enough actresses on the show. I think there's not enough people doing the moment-to-moment Meisner method, which made the show so enjoyable to watch. When you had a bunch of actresses on the show, when Eileen Davidson was there, and it was Eileen and Kim and Renna, that was the group. Because they could call and response immediately. What do you mean by that? What did you say? And that level of quickness. And then they had Yolanda and Brandy, the former models, who were delicate little flowers. Don't look at them sideways because they're going to call you out. It was just like a group of people who were quick on their toes. And right now we have too many people letting stuff slide, trying to get in where they fit in. And in this moment, this was Amanda getting in where she fits in, because she should have said, excuse me, Bose. In that moment, don't talk about it in your confessional. Bring it up. They all need to go to housewife school. Particularly, I think Amanda should have a sit down in the off season. If she comes back next season, Amanda needs to have a sit down with a housewife who knows how to read. She needs to have a sit down with Portia Williams. She needs to have a sit down with Portia. Honestly, she needs to call up Kenya, who's not even on the show. She needs to call up a housewife that knows how to read, knows how to deliver, knows how to check somebody in real time. It will make her so much more interesting. Because I think that when Amanda is like on one and feeling herself, she does have these moments that are funny. And like, I do believe she's cunning and witty, but I believe that she needs to know how to read. She needs to learn how to throw shade so that she doesn't like cower and become a victim, because that's annoying. The ladies go into a Scooby-Doo split up. And I think that this is also a problem with Beverly Hills. You guys, this episode, again, it's the dark night of the soul. This episode, I'm hard on the ladies this episode. And I'm going to sound like I'm complaining, but I'm not. I just want better for my girls. And you know that I've been rooting for Beverly Hills since the beginning of this season, when everyone right off the bat was like, it sucks. People have been saying that since episode 1. And I was not. But this episode could have been better. And there were a few things. One was Sutton bringing up the pillow immediately. That would have been interesting. Amanda bringing up Bose, talking about the Pinocchio joke in the moment. Interesting. The third thing is the girls were all riding in different cars. And we all know that the best things on the Housewives happen when they're in a Sprinter van. And they weren't in a Sprinter van. They were in separate cars. And that was part of a problem. And then they continued with the Scooby-Doo split up when they went shopping. And that was also a problem. We should have kept everybody together. Like, I guess when they're shopping, it's okay if they split up because then they can gossip about each other and catch up. But they should have been riding in the cars together. It should have been one car with everybody in the car. And if that meant that Natalie couldn't come on the trip, so be it. We needed everybody in one car. We haven't actually had a Sprinter van moment the entire season. And that is part of the problem. It's part of the problem. We need to go back to the drawing board with Beverly Hills. I think we are losing recipes here. We're losing recipes. Both Sutton and Tilly go to Dolce & Gabbana. Sutton brags that she's friends with Dolce & Gabbana. I don't know if that's the flex she thinks it is, but she flexes about it. We have a really cute moment where Gentile whispers her size, and the editors are really cute about it and redact it. Everyone goes shopping. Dorit spends a lot of money. Dorit spends like $3,000. Tilly spends $3,000. Sutton spends about $1,000. Rachel Zoe buys a bunch of stuff at Gucci. Kyle buys a bunch of stuff at Gucci and Bottega Veneta. Everyone is shopping. Kathy buys pants. Everyone shops till they drops in Italy. It's really fun. But the thing that really happens on this shopping trip that's important is Rachel gossips about Sutton talking about Dorit, and Kyle and Amanda gossip with Natalie about Bose and Amanda. And Kyle's doing entirely too much in this understanding of the information. So as they're walking, Kyle's like, and what did she say, Amanda? And she's really stirring the pot and really inflaming the situation in a way that feels so contrived and fake. I hate it. It's like, I love that Kyle knows how to stir a pot. I've talked about it before. She's like a great producer on the show, but her level of producing is getting so out of hand and heavy-handed. It's not even out of hand. It's just heavy-handed. She's coming across like Heather Gay in Salt Lake City Housewives. It's like so heavy-handed. And this is the thing that ran Lisa Vanderpump off the show, because she was also producing really heavy-handedly. And Kyle's doing too much. That's the note that Kyle Richards needs to take. She's doing too much. Because then she's like, well, Natalie, what did she say? And like, oh, I can't believe that was a joke. And blah, blah. And it's like, too much. Too much. I didn't like this. And by the way, as Amanda is like repeating what happened, she's so sulky and pouty. And she's like, and then she said, and I just don't think it's funny. And it's like, I would love Amanda to stop sulking. I would love Kyle to stop doing too much. I want Amanda to stop sulking. I want everybody, the whole cast, to say what they mean what they say, and call things out in the moment that they happen, not after they happen. It's so boring when they do that. It's not good TV. It's boring. Everyone's doing their shopping. Dorit is taking a long time shopping, but she does get a like us point in this moment because she says, I want to take my time shopping. It's my entertainment. It's my exercise. Same. I don't want to rush my shopping either. And they're trying to rush her, and you can't rush shopping. You got to just take your time. You got to try this stuff on. You got to look. You got to browse. You got to absorb. Erika's talking shit to Dorit while she's doing that. She's like, you're taking too long. I'm going to go. Erika heads out the store, and Karma catches her real quick because she trips and almost falls, but catches herself. So Karma catches Erika. Erika catches it right back. She doesn't. I never trip. I never fall. A lot of hosts gave me their numbers, but I never call. That was Erika in that moment. Dorit and Rachel Zoe, they start gossiping in the streets. There's a flashback to Sutton and Rachel chatting about Dorit and Amanda in the car. And really what we glean from this flashback is that Sutton is a hater. Sutton doesn't like when Dorit has friends. Sutton hates Dorit. Sutton hasn't forgiven Dorit. She wants Dorit to be isolated on an island. Dorit's likable. People like Dorit. Sutton needs to get over it. The end. That's what's going on with that. They all get back in the car. Kyle talks about having a new purse. Amanda's still in the car with Kyle, kind of complaining. And I wish that they all were in a Sprinter van. I said that, but I'm going to say it again because this is when I felt it. And then they get into dinner. And dinner's going to be pizza by the pool. Everyone's getting dressed. I loved this little moment with Bose and Dorit where Bose is like, oh, I have a triangle top. And Dorit's like, oh, like, whose boobies are bigger, yours or mine? And like, Bose is like, yours. And I love that Dorit, instead of being like, oh, I have bigger boobs, she's like, that's right, baby. And like, I thought that was cute and a cute little friend moment. And that I liked it. They show up to dinner, and guess who's late? Dorit is late, and I think she has time blindness. And I've said this before, but I watched Watch What Happens Live last night with Dorit and Sarah Michelle Gellar, and they were playing a game where they had to guess how late Dorit was. And Dorit, like, literally never knows how late she was because I don't think she has a concept of time. She just doesn't. She doesn't know what she's doing. The topic at dinner goes on to Amanda, and I feel like, you guys, I feel like I'm going crazy because there's this like revisionist history that everyone has always been mean to Amanda. And I actually don't think that's true. I actually remember that at the start of the show, Amanda was the new character that was introduced and Bose did lunch with her. And everyone seemed to be getting along with Amanda well enough. She was kind of like, they kind of poked at her for being younger when she first arrived with her outfit because Jennifer Tilly told her, like, oh, that reminds me of like late 80s Chanel. And Amanda like makes a joke of like, oh, I wasn't alive then, or like I was a baby then, or something like that. And then Erika kind of pokes her for like not drinking, like saying like, boo, you got to have a drink, which like isn't really being mean. It's kind of just like bringing her into the fold and having fun with her. And then Amanda was like instantly took those as like signs that people didn't like her. I don't know. But then she does all these meals with people and everyone liked her. And the problem is that Amanda put her foot in her mouth when she started talking about the book Ghostwriter and bringing up Dorit's divorce. Period. Those are the things. Like, and the fact that no one has brought up this whole time that Amanda talking about the ghostwriter was rude and condescending in that moment to her face, because again, the problem with Beverly Hills is people don't bring things up in the moment when they happen. So that everyone's just resentful and passive aggressive. And what should have happened is the day that Amanda talked about the ghostwriter, which would have happened at the dinner if Amanda, again, not her fault, but she like kind of deadened the conversation. But I actually think that that night is the night that the season failed, because had it not been the anniversary of Amanda's son's death, which is not her fault and a tragedy, but had that happened on literally any other night, the conflict between Dorit and Amanda would have turned into, and then you're bringing up the ghostwriter, and then you're talking about me, and what is your deal? And they would have been able to actually get to the bottom of it weeks, like over a month ago in this time, in real time. They would have got over it much quicker because they would have actually been able to have the conversation as the problems were bubbling up. But the thing is, they never got to have that conversation because it kept getting pushed, and then delayed. And it just became this like kind of ugly cloud over the whole season of what feels like Dorit and Amanda beef, which like really shouldn't be Dorit and Amanda beef. And then the thing is like Amanda kept doubling down on language that then was then very aggravating and passive aggressive. And Dorit kept being condescending because Dorit is condescending and Kyle was fanning flames. And so that's why we have this season that's just about Dorit and Amanda, when like it really could have been about a litany of other things, but we never really get to them because they never got to have the conversation that should have happened in real time, and it just delayed everything this whole time. I also don't like that they're making Bose look like she's a mean girl, black girl now, and that's the same thing they did to Garcelle. Although Garcelle, I feel like went against the core group by teaming with Sutton, but I also feel like the fans have a little bit of revisionist history with Garcelle, because Garcelle was mean to Anna Maria. She was not nice to Anna Marie. They did not have like, oh, we're going to be black girls together. They didn't do that. She was like basically bashing Anna Marie anytime she could. She wasn't nice to her because Anna Marie was talking about Sutton having a small esophagus and how that's not a real thing. And that was really that core problem. And if Garcelle would have picked a side, but the problem is that also in that same time period, they were trying to act like Garcelle wasn't paying a bill to like some donation, which was like also, oh, there were some undertones there that weren't great. So it's always been kind of a mess, and the edit has always been kind of weird, but I feel like with Bose right now, it's not looking good on how she's coming down on Amanda, even though I understand why she's coming down for Amanda, because Bose is a woman with really high integrity, but she shouldn't have lied. But I don't know if she lied. I think she honestly didn't remember that she brought up Amanda's name, because I think it didn't matter. It was like that flippant of a comment. And that's why Amanda should have just brought it up in the moment when it happened. Anyway, in this conversation, everyone's still kind of poking at Amanda. And it doesn't really come across as like a team up as much as it's everyone's just like, Amanda, speak your truth then, girl. You have the floor. And Rachel says it best in her confessional. She's like, you're either the strongest, most powerful, or you're the weakest victim. And Amanda tries to hold both at the same time, which makes her cunning, manipulative, and probably really great for reality TV. Amanda talks to all of them like she's on a Zoom call, and no one thinks she's authentic. She's like, I think people who've gotten to know me have thought I was authentic. And it's like, no, because even Kyle has questioned your authenticity and has said that you were opportunistic. That did happen. And so I think that Amanda needs to look into the mirror, but she won't because she doesn't have real friends. And I think that Kyle needs to stop overly producing the show. And I didn't like this episode at all. Bose and Dorit and Amanda all go hard against each other. Amanda and Kyle start pulling Natalie into the mix, inflating Bose's words. They all bicker, they all fight. Then Kyle gives a performance where she says, and you know who doesn't lie? The cameras. And it was in this moment I realized that Kyle Richards has been acting this whole season. And her acting job, like, when did she start doing these things? It's happened now 3 times, and I'm going to share them all on my Instagram stories. She does that, you know who doesn't lie? The cameras with the hands. Then when she went shopping with Erika a few episodes ago, she's like, are you ready for Italy? And she like does a little acting thing then. And then when they go to the Hamptons and they're about to have drinks, Kyle goes, well, the night has just begun, ladies. And it's like these like, it's like this weird, it's like she becomes overcome by someone. It's like she becomes, I don't know who this version of Kyle is, but it's very strange. It's very strange. And I want the old Kyle, well, the real Kyle Richards, please stand up. It's like, it's getting weird. Dorit's had enough. She knows that Kyle's playing the Lisa Vanderpump game because Dorit's been around long enough. She's like, I can't deal with this shit. She gets up, she leaves. They wrap up dinner. And then in the after dinner, Bose finally drops the bombshell of bombshell that she thinks Amanda is a cult leader. We will see what happens with the rest of this. But like I said, quiet episode in Beverly Hills. Quiet episode in Beverly Hills. Only 2 like us points got given out. And that was Rachel Zoe talking about shopping, healing everything, / money isn't real when she goes shopping in Europe. 1 point. Dorit, shopping being entertainment and her exercise. 1 point. And that was me trying, you guys. It was hard. That was a hard episode. No one looked great. Everyone looked petty. It was really unrelatable, really hard to find empathy with really anybody. The laughter of Kathy talking about like the penis with David, fine, that was funny. But like, it was just like dark night of the soul. We are in the dark night of the soul at Beverly Hills. Again, this is like, whose line is it anyways? The points are made up. They don't really matter, but we're keeping track anyways. And that means that I do have to tell you that Rachel Zoe is now solely in first place by herself. Woo! Go Rachel Zoe. For the first time ever, we have a new leader in Rachel Zoe, fully in first place. She has 70 points ahead of Erika Jane, 65, Kyle with 50, Bose with 45, who's now tied with Dorit with 45, and the friends of Amanda and Sutton are all with 40 at the bottom. If you think that not being relatable makes you a better housewife, then they are your winners. Thank you so much for listening to this play-by-play of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills week 14. You can listen to more Like Us Pod at Spotify or on YouTube. Make sure to give us a follow, like, subscribe on all socials at Like Us Pod, or you can follow me separately at Erin Jones-Wesley on all socials. Thank you so much, and I will chat with you next week.